Hello, welcome to Multimodal Weekly. This is the virtual webinar series hosted by the team at TwelveLabs. For context, we an early stage startup focusing on multimodal video understanding. This is an initiative that we've been hosting over the past 2 years or so on a weekly basis, where we discuss a wide variety of topics, ranging from the research side of things. So researchers coming in, sharing their work in multimodal AI, foundation model, etc., and all the latest stuff going on in the field. We have developers and founders come and talk about various projects that they build, using different type of technology, mostly around like video and multimodal. Sometimes we have internal team members giving tutorials and guidance using technology, and we have partners talk about different application of like how to build in conjunction with technology in different vehicles. Just to showcase a sample of some of the recent session, we had a lot of stuff going on the research side, everything ranging from world modeling to reasoning to broader field of multimodal hallucination, etc. We also have a session on like building a practical application with our technology. So for today, super excited to have a session, just technically a joint session with our friends from the team at SambaNova system. So they, you're not aware of them. They are a player in the inference as well as compute based, and basically offering a lot of different open source model for Gen AI workloads, etc. So for the first half of the webinar, we'll have Justin Gu, currently a developer advocate at SambaNova, who will talk about what's going on in the open source world, agentic workflow, different multimodal benchmark, and also just give a high-level overview about SambaNova, the company, the product, and different use cases. And then for the second half of the session, we'll have Rishi Yadav, who currently at TwelveLabs building a variety of different application sample demos to demonstrate various possibility of our technology. And he's been working on a very cool application that showcase how to use model from TwelveLabs for video analysis and model from SambaNova for fast inferencing together. So super excited to see his demo and see the different possibility that can accomplish with that. And then for a quick note for the attendees, feel free to send your question on Zoom chat. Since this is a pretty interactive session, you can we'll have a 5-10 minutes interactive Q&A after the speaker finish as well. Yeah. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and Justin, feel free to go ahead and start your presentation.
Yes, I assume everyone can hear me, right? Can everyone hear me just fine?
Yep.
Great, thanks. I'm excited to be here. Very excited about our collaboration with TwelveLabs. It's such a cool API. Again, my presentation is going to be pretty quick. I'm going to go over open source models, a little bit about benchmarks that I'm particularly excited about, and then show us just a couple of demos on AI agents that like sort of we've been working on and like we're thinking about. So let me just go ahead and get started here. Again, I'm Justin Wu. I'm a developer advocate at SambaNova. That's my email, justin.wu@sambanova.ai. And then you can also contact me on Twitter at jzwu down there. Here we go. Let me just click on this here. So just a few things about me. I really like coding in Python. I love playing Settlers of Catan. I've competed in a few tournaments there. I also like playing pickleball a lot. I'm originally from Singapore, and then that's like my wife, and we have two dogs. Um, and then, so just a little bit about SambaNova here. What we do is we build this chip called an RDU that allows for really fast inference. And we particularly run this for open source models. So we built this server rack where we host our RDU chip, and then that chip allows for really quick, fast inference for open source AI models. We like to say blazing fast. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about open source models, and I think we've all heard about open source models. I think more recently there's been a definition of open source versus open weights. So I just want to set the stage on what, and feel free to I'm going to be monitoring the chat too. Feel free to ping me with any questions throughout my presentation or if you have any comments. I think with AI models right now, we're all learning from each other. So I'm curious to learn from each other too. So I just want to set the stage about open source and open weights. Um, the most of the models that we see are open weights as opposed to open source. And I think what's a really good resource is this open source initiative or open weights definition, open source definition here that talks about open source versus open weights. An open source model, when it first came out, ideally was a they wanted people to open source the training data set and maybe the training code. With a lot of the models right now, they're open weights where they don't necessarily showcase what the data set or the training code is down there. But um, with open weights, with the models itself, it allows you to run these models like locally or on other chipsets like our RDU system, and also allows you to fine tune it. So this is a really good table here about open weights versus open source. This is level set the stage. Open weights in open source, they release the weights and biases. The training code for open source is shared. Most of them, models we see out there are open weights, so they're not shared. And then the data set which they have also for open weights, it's not disclosed. And then but again, this is I just want to set the stage down there with open source versus open weights. Most of the models with are open weights. And so what are the benefits of open source or open and I think the industry itself is moving towards um, defining open weights models as the de facto open source. So what's the benefits of doing using open source models here? So I think some of the benefits we have is that okay, there's a transparency and trust that the data set that we use or the prompts we use for these open source open weights models, they don't get because we're running the models like locally or outside of the proprietary server, then they don't get trained into the data. There's also a cost efficiency down there for these open source models. They can tend to be cheaper, maybe even faster. They also allow you for fine tuning, so you can customize them. There's a security and privacy. So because you're either running it on-prem or in your own data center, uh, whatever prompts, whatever data set you send to these open weight models are in a secure location and there's a privacy down there. The other thing that you can benefit from these open source models is there's a community around them who's always testing, using them, and building upon them. So I think there's a lot of benefits to using like these open source models. I'm going to talk about a couple of open source models, and I think what's really interesting for me down here is actually looking into some of these model cards here. And maybe the first one that I'm going to dive into is like the model card for like Llama 4. And this is one of open source models that's produced by Matter, and they produced two models, Llama 4 Scout and Maverick. You can read through it, but I think what's really interesting for me here is like the prompt template. This is the prompt template that they published that for the system prompt before it. And there's some interesting things here, like you never use phrases that imply moral superiority or sense of authority. And then also interesting things like, you do not refuse political prompts. I think really looking at the system prompt for the model itself gives you an idea of maybe the limitations or what the model is biased towards. So I would always encourage people to like, as you're looking at these models, particularly these open source models, look at the model card as you use it and maybe look at the system prompt, the suggested system prompt here to give you an idea of that. I'm going to move on to other models so I think we're all familiar with like probably like DeepSeek R1. Unfortunately, the model card itself doesn't have a lot of information. They have the benchmarks here, and I'm going to go into a few little of these benchmarks here into it down there. One of the interesting things about DeepSeek R1 is that, and I think a lot of these models they're moving into is really not only the enhanced front-end capabilities, but a reduction in like hallucinations. And I think security and privacy and hallucinations is something that they're really moving into. And then DeepSeek V3 is the non-reasoning model. Uh, so and really I use this in for coding. I think this is the one of the biggest models that we use for like vibe coding and other things like that for DeepSeek. And so two other models I want to talk about is Qwen. This model itself is very interesting as a reasoning model, but they actually have this thing called a hybrid thinking mode, which allows you to do reasoning and non-reasoning within the same prompt. So what you can do, and the other thing I forgot to mention is the number of languages like here that Qwen supports. But I think the biggest thing here is this hybrid mode. And what you can do is within the prompt, I'm going to show you the example here. You can put a tag between if you don't want it to think, like do any reasoning, you can say slash no thing as just a parameter within the prompt. And then if you want to enable thinking, then you put in a parameter as slash think. So I think this was an interesting feature in this model itself, Qwen, that allows you to hybrid thinking mode. Now, I think to be fair, it hasn't really like caught on a lot, and I'm not necessarily sure that people are interested in doing a hybrid thinking mode. But I think it is interesting to see like these innovations in these open weight slash open source models that come about. So I think it's again, I always I deep dive and geek out over some of these model cards and really diving deep into understanding what these models are providing, how they're training them, and then of course I'm gonna like let's just move into the bigger set, which is the benchmarks. And I think we all evaluate like these models just by looking at the benchmarks itself. So the last model I'm going to talk about, of course, is the GPT open source model that just came out. This is an interesting model card. One, because the model card isn't here, but it's actually a really big PDF document that you can go through and read. And I suggest maybe like using GPT or your favorite thing to summarize it. They talk a lot about security concerns and how and all the different benchmarks. But I think what's interesting is for us to like really dive deep into some of the benchmarks that did it. And just for all transparency, this is a model that we're working on bringing up really quickly, and we should have it up and working like really quickly. I think I'm just going to go through two benchmarks here. I'm not going to deep dive into it, but one is that if you're going to look at benchmarks, I look at the health benchmark here. I think that's a good indication on understanding how good it is in relates to like medical questions. And I think the GPT open source model is an improvement there. And of course, I think we're all familiar. I mean, because we're all mostly developers here, all developers, or maybe looking at developers. The two benchmarks that you want to look at would be. So I'm just going to move up. Actually, it would be the coding, some of the coding benchmarks here. And I'm just going to find it down there. Actually, sorry, it's actually yeah, well, Code Forces is one of them, but SweBench verified, and I'm sure you can look it up, is one of the ones that you want to look at. I want to dive deep into benchmarks which aren't displayed here because I think they're interesting. I'm going to go to my link down here. The benchmarks that I like to follow, a few of them. One of them, of course, is Chatbot Arena. I think people are familiar with this, but I think this is an interesting benchmark because what happens is you can actually, for those who don't really understand, who haven't used this before, I encourage you to try it out. Go to this benchmark, and you can type a simple prompt in here, like maybe about like explain. Maybe let's talk about maybe explain. How about like quantum mechanics to me. And what this does is it will send a prompt into two different models, and then after that it will show you the result of the prompt, and then it will allow you to vote towards it. And with each vote, it actually brings it up towards the leaderboard. And I think it's a really interesting metric because the voting itself is not a benchmark, and it's something like subjective to like us really using it or understanding how to use it. And then when it generates the prompt, it will compare and we will do the evaluation itself, and we'll vote which one we think is better. And then as I'm always doing this, I'm always trying to figure out like how I evaluate it. Uh, and of course, I don't spend that much time reading through it here. But I wonder, I'm gonna look through here, and I think this is where maybe I'll do some like audience participation here. I'm gonna look at my Zoom chat here. Which one is that something here that people like just type in A or B and I'll vote accordingly. Like I don't know, does anyone left or right here? Who's seeing that left or right? Right. Okay, I'm gonna hit see right. Thank you. Yeah. So let's go to hit. write is better here. And then once you've done that, thanks for doing that vote. It will actually showcase to you. No, I just want to make sure that it's done it. Now, if all goes right, it should show it to you which model. So this is actually Grok 3 Mini Beta, and this is Qwen 25B. So we can see that Grok 3 in this case. And now I think writes a little bit better too. It seems a little bit more detailed, has a good quick wrap up there too. And then of course within the leaderboard, we can see overall, while GPT-5 actually is leading the charge down there. And so that's one of the benchmarks that I would encourage people to go to. The other one I would encourage people to go to is like WebArena. I'm not going to try this out. Actually, maybe I will try it out. This actually allows you to do some vibe coding here. So it actually allows you to generate some code, and then it will actually display the code for you. It takes a little bit of time actually to do it. So I probably won't wait through it all to save some time. But you can go in and it'll do the same thing where you can vote which one it is. And I think what's really interesting to me down here is actually seeing like what rises to the top. So you can see one of the cool things is that DeepSeek R1 as an open source model is rising to the top here, whereas like GPT-5 and Gemini 2.5 Pro, and then of course Claude Opus. So and you can see the number of votes that is done. Again, this is all crowdsourced out and used, and I think it's a really good. I find it like super fascinating. I definitely visit this page a lot down there. All right, so I'm going to move on to another benchmark that I like to think about. I'm not, I mean, I'm going to be very candid here. I think benchmarks itself can be subjective. I think benchmarks for each model, it's not easy to see which benchmark. They all tend to race each other. One of the most interesting benchmarks out there right now is what they call humanities last exam, and it really is a data set of benchmarks, about 2,500 questions across a variety of subjects, and they asked a bunch of experts across a bunch of institutions to come up with different questions. So for example, like here, I mean, for me, I don't even understand these questions. Like this is an ecology question here, this on classics, computer science, chemistry, linguistics, physics. Like this is an interesting one. Like in Greek mythology, who was Jason's maternal great grandfather? I think it's really interesting to see how this benchmark evolve. And what's really cool is that most benchmarks, a lot of these models are passing at like 50% or more, 80%. For humanities last exams, we're lucky even if the benchmark passes at like 20%. So what we can see is I'm actually going to go on to the so I forgot to put in the link down here, but we can actually go to, I'm going to type in, and we can actually see that the leaderboard. So I'm going to find the leaderboard. I apologize for not having it up and already, but we can see that that the leaderboard here, actually GPT-5 is leading just with a percentage of 25%. And I don't know, that's always very interesting to me. I think the theory behind this is that, if we ever reach 100% or passes this, then maybe it's sort of like it's taken over human intelligence. But I think that's debatable. So I just want to go with two other things here. Interesting resources. One is that I look at for benchmarks itself. One is Benchflow. Benchflow is a really cool tool where you can actually set up your own benchmark and run. One of the really cool things about Benchflow is that they have a bunch of different ones, including like Pokemon gyms. So this benchmark itself has different large language models actually playing Pokemon and seeing where they lie. And right now, like Claude is leading the battle, and this bench flow itself allows you to generate these benchmarks and then run it within their platform. And then the last one, I think that benchmarks itself here is this independent benchmark that I would encourage you to look at called Vals that actually runs a lot of the different benchmarks that we know. So I think what's interesting when you look at these model cards is that the benchmarks are run by the model provider itself, and sometimes they do things like they add in tools or access to the browser. But I think Valve itself runs a very independent benchmark just on the model itself. And you can see, actually, you can go through, like, for example, GPT-5, how it ranks up and how it ranks according to the different models. So yeah, that's just a little insight or little detail that I have in the benchmarks. Again, you can geek out as much as you want in the benchmarks, but these are hopefully these are very informative and helpful on the different benchmarks like to look at. So I'm just going to go over to end my presentation. I'm going to talk about little thing about AI agents and what we're doing in AI agents itself. We've come out and we've come out with our own AI agent too. And if you go to I'm going to encourage people to go to SambaNova Cloud here. And again, one of the cool things that we we really pride ourselves on really fast inference. If you write something like, like build me a simple HTML5 page, you can see like how fast it is. Like I can't even scroll. You can see how fast that this inference goes. It just builds it out really quickly. And with that, the power behind really fast inference, and it will showcase later on with TwelveLabs, one of it is really doing things that with AI agents, because you can actually call different models to build things out here. So like for example, I can really do, most people are familiar with like a research agent. I can ask it to do like a research agent. It's going to go ahead and plan this using DeepSeek open source models. And then after it's planned it's going to go ahead and request a bunch of agents to go out onto the internet. And so this does a little bit of planning here and tells me whether I want to go there. I'm going to go ahead and approve this plan. But the power of like really fast inference is that you can call a bunch of different agents, you can outsource those different agents itself, go back and then build something like really quickly. So we've got a bunch of different agents going out here, a writer agent, a grader agent, a search agent going out and then generating, writing content, and you can see how quick I can get. So if you use like DeepSeek, deep research agent on OpenAI or and use us, you can see how quickly we can get these agents down here to like come up with maybe like only a 5-page report there. I'm also going to show you something that we've been working on with agents down here. So in what we call like our data scientists or doing data scientists with AI agents. So I have a little report here that has downloaded a bunch of data on like different ad clicks, and I'm gonna ask it to do some analysis. So I'm gonna ask it to. I've got a data set predicting if a user will click on an online ad. I'm gonna ask it to do some prediction on the demographics and behavior of this online ad, and then apply some machine learning models to predict and evaluate it. So in order to do this, we've actually got a, and I'm actually going to do this actually in a new chat just so that we can, just for cleanliness here. In order to do this, what it's got to do is it's actually got to execute code in a sandbox. So what we've done is we're partnered with one partner called Daytona and actually executed and allowed that particular sandbox to run pandas and other code in it so that it can actually execute and analyze the report. So you can see that here, this is actually Python code running an external sandbox that the agent has kicked off and then gone ahead and done that down there. So and analyze that data for it. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. So while it's running, so because of this data analysis, it takes a little bit of a time here to do it because it kicks off a sandbox. And then now it's come up with a couple of hypotheses. I'm going to go ahead and approve this. And then the power behind it is that once it's done, it's going to kick off a bunch of different agents and actually kick off a bunch of different agents with a bunch of different models, and we try to figure out which model um, corresponds best for these particular agent, and then kicks it off. And I see a question here online. How much does it cost to use agents? So the cost of the agents that we do, we charge based on like the number of tokens that you use. And I'll show you later on where our pricing page is down there. How can I use your sandbox in my website? Is that an API? So we don't provide the sandbox itself, but I'll show you the sandbox that we use. We use a third party called Daytona to actually kick off the sandbox. And we don't provide that sandbox. That a partner provides that. There is an API that allows you to kick off that sandbox. You can provision that sandbox with Python, with any sort of libraries you want, with any sort with a way that you can actually write code in that there. Actually, what is the website? I'm actually going to type it in the chat. The website is actually Daytona .io. I believe that's the website. I'm actually going to go to it here. Let me show it. Go here, Daytona. Yeah, Daytona.io. So you can look at it. I think this is a really cool website to be here to look into it. So you can see a bunch of agents kicking off, and then really interacting really quickly. I think one of the things that we like to say, because running on the SambaNova cloud, is that the agents get to interact with itself really fast, and then produce that down there. So for the interest of saving time, I actually already done this quickly beforehand. And I think what I like to show is that because we're actually running the models in the sandbox, it's kicked off and produced a lot of visualizations behind it because it's like run pandas in the background and done that, and then actually can go ahead and then produce these cool visualizations. Um, yeah, and the last thing I want to talk about with agents itself that we're looking at right now is like voice agents, and I would encourage everyone to maybe look at someone we're looking at Hume.ai, who's someone we're sort of working with. And the cool thing about Hume.ai that I really like is the ability to design custom voices. So I don't know whether you're able to hear. Yeah, I don't think you can hear. I don't know how to do. I don't know whether you're able to hear the sound down here.
Not yet. I think you have to share your audio
I have to
first
share my audio. Okay, so
on Zoom, like this button to share audio on Zoom.
okay. So let me do that right now. I'm gonna share. So
You have
let's
to
see. So
you have to stop sharing the screen and then
ah
reshare it again, but click the share audio button.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Share audio button on. So I'm gonna hit the shares. Oops.
Share sound. When you click share, right, on the right
Yep.
side, it
Share sound itself. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Okay, great. So hopefully we can do this here. How about I'm going to do something really quickly. So I think what's really cool is that you can actually design your own voice here. So for example, in Hume, you can say something like a soulful voice, rich with a smooth Louisiana Southern accent. And it can actually really, you can take this prompt and design this voice in a matter of seconds. And then you can interact with that voice in real time. And I think to me, that's a really cool interaction here. And then tying that with AI agents that can execute on your behalf, I think that's a really cool experience.
Well, hello there, sugar. Welcome on in and make yourself comfortable. The evening's settling in real nice, and I'm
Yeah.
just
Can
delighted
you
you've come by.
can you tell me a story here?
Why, I'd be delighted to. Gather round now, leaning close.
Anyway, I get the
There
idea,
once
and
was
I
an
think
old
hopefully you guys could
fisherman.
hear that audio there. But I'd encourage you to try out, yeah, Hume.ai. I think it's something that we're looking we're partnering with them, and we're actually powering their backend to produce the EVI3 model. They've even got GPT-5 here, and I think it's a really cool experience. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Hopefully it was really quick and a good overview about benchmarks, open source models, and then things that we're thinking about AI agents. And then this is my contact information. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Justin. Um, and yeah, if this has any more question for Justin, feel free to ask on the chat and he can answer it async. Yeah, definitely. I'm a fan of Boom for a while. I actually know a couple folks from their team, so it's
Yeah,
great to know that they actually a customer of Samba, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, good luck to collaborate with them on some other stuff around multimodal at some point in the future. Um, yeah, and so Rishikesh, you wanna start and share your screen and go ahead with the second part of the webinar?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. So hello everyone. Today we will be now we will be discussing about video understanding with fast inference LLM, and here we'll try to explain about the implementation where we'll understand the video content and how we can make an interactive learning app with the help of SambaNova. So the agenda for today's is first we'll get to know about the context of the Pegasus model, which is for video to text, and the DeepSeek model from the SambaNova Model Hub. Then we'll have a demonstration, and also then we'll be having a deep dive into the working architecture and the implementation. And next at the last, we'll be having an ideas to take away to build with TwelveLabs and SambaNova together. Yeah. So a bit of an context. So if you don't know about Pegasus 1.2, it's a model for video to text, or I can say to do an video analysis. So you can just have anything in your mind as a user in the part of a user prompt to ask from a video, and you can get it analyzed with the model here. So how does it work actually? Here we'll get like the video input. So video input is channelized as video visuals and audio, and then we have a video encoder and the video tokenizer here. And whatever the user prompt that you are providing is just get the into tokenized, and then we get the response. This whole architecture which you are saying is like a detailed one, and when you will see the implementation, it's just a 3 lines of code. So we'll just see to it. What are the use cases of it? Maybe let's say one of the example here of content localization of, let's say there is uh, a video you have and you want to know as per the content, as per the demographics, as per the market, what type of editing you need to be done on that video. Maybe you want to make it very specific for a kids, so how that editing should be there, what suggestion you need. You can just ask that in that prompt by providing the video, and here you can see you got the response by till 0 seconds to 11 seconds, what type of visual edit you should add, what type of voiceover needs to be added so that it looks good. That's how the video analysis is done here. Let's say the second example or use case here is the sports analytics. And here you can see the prompt is like following the video content, write the summary, and what time in the video the game ended, and also what's the final score. So you get the video analyzed, and here is the proper response, which is like the summary of that video, the end time we can see, and also the final score. The more advanced use case you can explore here is like for any other, maybe you can integrate into any other use cases, is understanding the ontology, or I can say the knowledge graph or the interactions of the people, or maybe it could be a concept where you are trying to make a knowledge graph of interaction or the roadmap or of one concept to another. You can build a knowledge graph out of it and I can use this JSON into any other format. So this is what the power of Pegasus 1.2 is. Next, we'll see about SambaNova Model Hub. So there are like lot many models you can see which you can choose from. And here for this tutorial that I will be showcasing to you, I have chosen DeepSeek V30324 because it works the best in terms of, as Justin also told about that it works well for writing a code specifically, and also the animation part. And if you also go around the context window, the DeepSeek V3 had a lot of context as compared to the others as per also the size and the intelligence. So yeah, let's see the demonstration of the video to game, and I will also interact with that via the app, but let's have a look at this 40-second video. So I will just directly go to the app. So you can access the app via video to game. I will share the link. So you can interact with the YouTube one, which is not, I have not connected that at this moment. This is the sample interactive app. So this is the video you can see here, which is the linear regression in 3 minutes. But let's say I want to experiment with the content which has been discussed in the video, which is around the points or the errors. So you can see here the code which is written by the DeepSeek model here, which is the generated here, and you can interact with that app and you can see and understand about that stuff. So how you can use it is you just come here to the TwelveLabs, you can just connect your API key. And as soon as you connect your API key, here you can see there is a list of indexes. So let's say I select the video to game index, which I already have in my playground. And next is video. So in that index, I have this many videos. So let's say if I select this, I have, okay, I already have an app around PCA, you can see. Or maybe if I select decision tree. Okay, here you can see for a decision tree, I already have it here generated for training data. And this is the select feature. Let's say I select age, split node. You can see how the interactive it works. But let's say, let's do generate now at this moment. Maybe something as a random forest. So how does it work is when I click on the select the video, I get the video ID, and now the analyzing the video content with TwelveLabs is happening. And as soon as the analysis is completed, the instruction of how the gamified version of the app needs to be created, that instruction gets generated as a result, and then it goes to the DeepSeek model for the generation of the code for it. And here it's coming as a chunk to stream on, and as soon as the generation gets completed, the app will get rendered. So it will take like not much of a time, but it's like a very long prompt. I will showcase to you the prompt and the implementation. So it's a lot of context here, which I have provided. Maybe we can have a look by the time through the architecture. Or it's, yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but
Right.
I'm just so impressed with the speed because like you've got a video,
Mhm.
with Pegasus, you process the video, and then now we've taken that out of it, and then now we're generating a game. I'm just impressed. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So here you can see it generated like the whole, I guess in that video, uh, it was mostly around the tabular data and all. So that's why this was like a whole of a tabular data and that content. Like for other stuff, you can see for a PCA, it's like it generated a graph of how the data was there and it just calculates as per that, or I can just click on the random cells and it generates. So yeah, like if we'll just go to the architecture, you can experiment with the app. So yeah, deep dive into architecture. So this is the process which we saw. I just connected my API key, so my API key was already been connected. Then after connecting it, I selected the index and then I selected the video ID. And after that, I selected the video ID went, and here with the Pegasus 1.2, the video analysis happened. And then with DeepSeek V30324, the code game generation happened, and here I got the app generated. The second way is, let's say I provided a YouTube URL here. So there is an extra step of processing of video and indexing. So you can have like any platform utility function you can add for this extra step of processing of videos, so that the if the video is from any other platform or other areas, you can just add the extra step here for indexing, and it will eventually work well for that. If we just directly go to the implementation, so you can just create an API key of TwelveLabs from TwelveLabs Playground, and you will get a 10 hours of credits. And from that, like you can just create an index or to have it. Here you can see version 1.3 indexes. So all this index list which you can see is from my account. I can just showcase to you. So here you can see these are all the indexes which it listed, like video to game and all. So this was the first step for the API of get indexes. The second is the get videos. So after the selection of the index this video to game, I got the index ID, and with this index ID, I am fetching all the video information which I have in that index with the help of just index ID / videos here. And with that, I just got all this, and it is just the structuring of the response here. So we just completed all this process. Now the main functionality is analysis and the code generation. For analysis, I told you, like, it's so easy to use. You just need to provide the video ID and the prompt. So it just self.client.analyze. Here I provided the video ID, the video which I selected, and the prompt. And prompt is system defined. So we have defined like already in the backend. So that's why I don't need to write any query in that. It was already pre-configured. So if you just have a look at the prompt, how does it actually work? So you can see it's a long prompt here. So what I'm instructing is to the LLM is that you are a product designer with expertise, and you know about how the interactive learning experience needed to be created for a web application. And as per the video which has been provided, do write a spec. So here I am, as a part of a one-shot prompting, I have also provided a query and also the specification of how the app should work on around the interactive keyword, or as per the example of this query, it is around the 7 diatonic traits and the functionality of diatonic, just because of this query here as a one-shot prompting. And here I instructed, okay, provide me the JSON object, having a specs as the main component. So this is what as with the video ID, this prompt went to provide me the instruction which is needed to be provided to the DeepSeek so that it generates the game well. So as soon as okay, it's not loading. Oh, sorry, 1 minute. Yeah, so we were here. Yeah, so here we just had a look on the prompt, which has been user defined with the one-shot prompting of how well the instruction we need for the specification which needed to be generated. And then next is how the SambaNova have been integrated with it. So if we just have a quick look, so here we have the system prompt and the user prompt. And here is just we are checking whether the SambaNova API is being connected well or not. Then here is the major chat.completion.create. Here is the SambaNova model, which I have already configured in another file, and loading the system prompt and the user prompt. Temperature, as I remember, it was 0.1, top P as 0.1, max token as 16,000, and stream as true, which is necessary if you want to stream that response quickly into your front end. And here, if you are using the stream is equal to true, at that time the chunk.choices here, it becomes delta, and I'm sending the, like, as a bit of a chunk of a of that, and I'm also printing out in the CMD, so that's why it's like this. But the major functionality you can see here is this one, the response, and and for the chunk in response, it should just process and provide the chunk to the UI. So this is the most easy way to implement and use the model with the SambaNova. And also I have other utility also. You can find it in the GitHub. I will pin the GitHub into the chat, where I have also added like the HTML validation and correction utility. So if something goes wrong, which is never been the case if you choose the correct model, to ensure that the proper handling is being done, the app is getting rendered well, whether the model is streaming it in a real time. So everything is on basis of an trial and test of what's your use case and what's the best open source model you can choose it from. So this is the app, this is the QR. I will send the link in the chat. And next at the last, we'll be discussing about the what all other ideas you can look onto. Okay, so I just see the chat. By that time, I will just send the link of the GitHub. So on GitHub, you can find all the information about the app, of the architecture, and also how you can set up the front end and even the back end with all the APIs. So you can totally have a look and experiment with it. I will be sharing like more ideas now, like what all you can build or do with it. Yeah. For video to game at this moment, you can try with the TwelveLabs API key by generating from the playground. Okay, so next we'll see the more ideas which you can build is in this with the same code is having a feedback loop, prompt iteration on interactive app. So let's say the app got generated and you want a very specific kind of a special functionality. Let's say I want a specific graph like structure or something like that. You can just have like a write a prompt here and just send it over so that it will so the process will be like as soon as you will write a prompt, it won't hit any utility. It will directly go into the history of the context which has been generated by the SambaNova, and it will hit that, and you will get your code as a more refined and more personalized as per your use case. And also it's like faster iteration you can do over any application, kind of a short application you are building. And also you can also have a shareable quick application so that whatever the application you build, you can share it to your friends or interact and learn, which is the major thing. And your friend can also write a prompt and iterate over it. So this is one of the idea you can surely work on by having the GitHub, like everything is there in the open source. Also, one more thing to pin out is if you make an account on sambanova.ai, you will get $5 credits free to use. So it's a lot to experiment with that.
And we can always give,
Next.
by the way, I just want to, sorry, I didn't
Hmm,
mean to interrupt you. That idea is amazing. I love that idea of sharing the
hmm,
code and iterating the
hmm,
prompt and everything. And, we can always give out more credits on that. I mean, this is so cool, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
yeah,
but go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, 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 sure. So next year is the deep research with video content. So uh, by having a fast inference model, because you might know you have uh, done deep research on various platform and it takes 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So you need eventually a fast inference LLM for this agentic architecture. As Justin also showed like how fast the deep research works on. So how about having a deep research for a video so that you provide a video, you write a text, and it just provides all the resources around it by having a Pegasus integrated with the LLM agents which we have, so which extracts the meaningful insights and the relevant citations around it, and also about the whole topic or maybe the situation which has been there in the video. So this is also one more idea you can totally explore and build upon that. And the last I wanted to discuss is the video agentic AI. So that is, this is the place where the model can be used as a planner. So whenever you provide a query, if we go to the agentic modular architecture, it's like when you provide a query, the LLM plans out, okay, what needs to be done. After the planning of a stepwise, it actually evaluates what are the tools available. Tools available, I mean tools available to that software which can be used or triggered. And for the tools, there could be the various functionality which TwelveLabs provides, as in search with Marengo, or the summarize with Pegasus, or other editing utilities. So that can be connected well within video agentic AI, so that it helps to understand and coordinate with the task and the tooling. And also like it would help as a reasoning inference model, which might be useful for the planner task. So yeah, that was like the craziest ideas. I just wanted to share with all of you. Yeah, that's all from my side. Yeah, thank you.
I was gonna say, I think the last idea is very interesting to have that planner down there and then execute on a bunch of tasks. I think that's a really cool. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any question from the audience? We also have a blog post tutorial for this app published probably next week with details walk through step by step in which you know engineers like yourself can re-implement and bring that to your own application. And I know that Rishi is also working on the deep research idea, like even the video and provide deep research report for that. So that could be coming soon. Yep.
I think it's cool because I'm just gonna use it and hopefully I don't blow through all your credits. I think it's so cool that it happens so quickly and you're able to do a video to a game. I mean, like we just to me we just live in such an amazing world where like that can just happen, and then we can like just interact and learn of it so quickly.
Yep.
James, can I just share one thing really quickly? I think that was if you don't mind.
Yep.
There's a question, and I think I missed it. There's a question on our pricing, basically.
Yep.
And I just wanted to showcase that, hey, you can go to our, those who are interested in SambaNova, you can go to our cloud.sambanova.ai. And then, of course, this is like our pricing down there, which we feel is like quite competitive. And then, you can go there and try out and then try it again. We give $5 free credit to all these different models. And then, yeah, just things like that. Because I think that was just a question on that pricing, and then yeah, go to cloud.sambanova.ai.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I just wanted to not miss these questions here. Yeah, the video, and I'm so impressed with TwelveLabs and how fast we can do a video analysis and extract all the data points and then immediately execute and build other content on that data points. I'm like, I mean, it's just so impressive what we can do. Like, no longer do we have to like just consume the video. We can build and then build upon, and then that idea of like you build content, you send it over, and then now your friends reprompt and regenerate that content. I think that's brilliant. So like from one video, like there's just so much more happening upon each other. I love it. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know we at the time, and so the recording of this session should be available by early next week, so we can share that to all folks who attend, and for folks who can watch later on. And yeah, like I mentioned, we have a tutorial on this application coming soon. Excited to have more collaboration with the Samba team for different interesting workflows, that can combine fast inference with video understanding together. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, appreciate your time, and hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending. There was a question here at the last. I don't know where you missed it out. Can you have multiple? Someone ask a question? Chat.
Yeah, can you have multiple videos? I think does that mean like can multiple videos as an input or what is the context here? Probably not this why. I mean, Pegasus currently operate on a single video level, which means that like given one video, it provide analysis only on that video. We do have another model called Marengo that does multi-video embeddings, meaning that so for example, you can do search. You can search for clips movement across multiple video, like finding like a single clip of someone speaking about a topic, right, across like a corpus of video library. So for search, it makes sense to have multiple video because it's about retrieval. It's called Marengo. You can search on our website. Pegasus is a more expensive model in a lot of ways, and at the moment we can only do other single video level, but we definitely in the process of like supporting multi-video analysis as well. So we have to think about like how to do that from modeling perspective, but also from a API and product level as well. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, I hope that answered the question. All right, thanks everyone, and yeah.
Thank you everyone for attending. Yeah, and thanks for this webinar. Very cool.
Yep. So cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.